session.
Um,
I don't need it. And, here you go. If you got any questions on my hair, just let me know.
Sure thing.
Who's to record? They did an update.
Uh-huh.
Used to be its own icon. Hey, good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Would you stand for the pledge of allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deputy Clerk, do roll call, please.
Councilman Coleman, absent. Councilwoman Allen, here. Councilman Paddock.
Here.
Councilwoman Susan. Here.
Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor. Stop there. I don't have any additions.
There's this mirror signs.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Financial report is still being worked on. We are getting caught up greatly. The things we have lost over the month of transition has changed immensely this week. And so with that being said, I am very happy to make this appointment. Town of Rochester Supervisor appoints Stephanie Marinin as bookkeeper secretary to the supervisor at a pay rate of $21.50 per hour for a 40-hour work week effective December 10th, 2023. So it's not a motion. I just get to make the appointment. This was our second choice. She accepted last Friday. She came and trained Sunday night with Seth and I for 3.5 hours. She has done a great job this week and is learning things very quickly. She and Seth are going to do a training on the 20th about vouchers. And we're very happy. So it's working well. Next was authorizing to sign a contract. Mary Lou reviewed it and had some concerns. I sent the concerns to the company. He
And I
was
sent
going,
them to all of you, so you should have it in your email.
he was going to send me an update, and I will just double check, and I do not. Oh, I do have it. He did send it. I'm sorry, I didn't see it before. You want to look on my computer and see if he made
You
the
want to just
changes?
email it to
I
me?
can do that. I missed this. I looked earlier and didn't see it. We can table that for a moment until Mary Lou can review it. How about we do that?
Yeah, I'm listening to that.
Well, yeah.
We
Well,
can do that, that's okay.
okay,
We can do this, then I'll review it while
okay.
we talk
So-
about other things. I also,
I've got copies for everybody to see them. I know you've emailed.
okay, I emailed them. You know, I didn't email one to the clerk's office. Do you have an extra copy so they can? have
Thank
it
you.
as well, thank you.
Wait.
So these are changes that the,
I've got a copy for you if you want to.
I got it, thank you, that the state
Can you
has
stick one in?
made in real property tax law, which we can adopt. There's two different laws. One goes to the senior citizen exemption and one goes toward the disabled persons with limited income exemption. They're increasing the amounts in the table or how much income these two different categories can make in order to get exemptions. And They've also added a ton of stuff regarding what counts as income and what does not count as income. So that makes all of that part of our law, for each of them. And that's what the changes are if you'd like to adopt them. They make sense, and the assessor has asked that we do this. So
So
we need to set a public
we
hearing.
would need to
for
set
it.
it for public hearing. The question is, when would we want to do that? I don't think we want to do it on January 4th, because we have our organizational meeting, then our regular meeting following that. I don't think we also want to do the public hearing. That being said, I don't also anticipate we're going to get a lot of comments on this. We could do the public hearing on the 28th. We could do the public hearing on the 11th. I would like, though, to get it adopted as soon as possible, because then people have to have these exemptions in by March 1st. So I would, if we have the public hearing on the 28th, we could, in theory, adopt this either that night or on the 4th. We could adopt it. I probably would say we would adopt it on the 4th. We could do it. We could do it on the 4th. It could potentially be a long meeting.
Adam, what do you think? Yeah, the 28th of this month.
Okay.
Are you the 28th or the 30th?
The 28th of December is our odd meeting.
Okay, if you need me, I won't be there.
That's okay.
My daughter's 30th birthday, and
It's okay.
I'll even make her a turkey if she wants
We're
it. But I don't,
So question for you then, since we're gonna have the
yeah, we
public
have to
hearing.
change it to
change it
2023.
2023?
If you're gonna pass it that night.
No, we're probably gonna wait and adopt.
If you're
something.
gonna adopt it in.
So we can do the public hearing on, and call it 2024.
Right,
still.
because you won't adopt it till March.
Is that okay with
Yes.
everybody? We'll adopt it that night at our organizational meeting or at our regular meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I know Martin's mind will look perfectly.
It's fine. Everybody's gone?
Two copies,
Oh.
two different laws.
Oh.
We have
And
128
125.
Article 4 and 128 7.
Now I got it.
Right now in our senior citizen exemption section, and I think it's been there for decades. We put a thing, a sentence in their provision that in the event somebody falsifies the documents, and it's a state document that you're submitting, what the penalties are, but we don't enforce those penalties. The state does, and it is on the form. So I took that out because we don't enforce them,
Okay,
okay?
fair enough. The low and high range, this isn't the maximum allowable, is it, or is this the maximum? Did you work with the assessor on this? Because I wasn't sure.
These are. You know what, this is what he had suggested.
This is what he suggested.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's my understanding is this. is
And that's
what he
fine.
suggested.
That's fine, because
And right now it's at 39,000.
yeah, he suggested to not go to the max. I know Marbletown had some comment that they should go to the max. and,
Okay, let me do a quick check because
Um,
these originated with,
if this is what originated with Jeremy,
well, it originated with Marbletown and Jeremy made suggestions, but I can't say.
I mean, before we adopt too, we can, although bear in mind, if we meet on the 28th and we make any changes, we can't.
And
vote.
you'll adopt it on the 11th. If you make changes, let me,
And I didn't get a chance to run this by him, so.
And then we'd have to close the public hearing that night on the 28th to be able to adopt it on the 11th.
We can close the public hearing at any time. It's just if we make any changes to the local law, we have to wait 8
8
days
days.
before we can
no
vote.
problem.
Okay, because I'm just thinking since it's holiday season, like for written.
We can
might wanna
hold it
leave
open, we can
till the
hold it open
following
for
week,
comments
until
till the 4th.
until the 4th, and
But
then.
then if we, then
If you
when
make
we
changes
make
at that
changes,
point,
we can't. do
And you're
it.
not gonna.
No,
do
I
it,
don't
okay.
see, I don't see a lot of
We normally on
I
this,
know coming
we've
out
done
like
this
this-
this year or the equivalent of this several times.
So we did
since
it
I've
last,
been
this
supervisor.
year or last
You
year?
know, they do it in an they do it by formula on this. So I'm gonna recommend that you run this by Jeremy and see if he,
Okay, but we can still
Suggestions.
set it for public hearing.
absolutely, it's
And,
been
if-
presented.
and we can
We
could
can
make
even-
changes on the 28th.
Yep.
At that
Yep, and then
meeting,
you
so.
just pass it on
Okay.
the 11th. So
So,
run the laws by Jeremy.
okay,
and see if he's good.
so I'm gonna split this as two motions.
If it's two different laws.
Yep. Let's start with the senior citizen. So we'll make a motion that we will call this local law A 2024. Local law amending chapter 128, article 4 of the Code of Town of Rochester Senior Citizen Tax Exemption. And to schedule a public hearing for December 28th at 6:30 PM at the Harold Lipton Community Center, 15 Tobacco Road, Accord, New York, and to request the town clerk circulate notice. So I'll make the motion.
I'm gonna make an amendment.
Yep.
If we maybe start at 6 that night, since we're signing the bills for the public hearing, so we can just go into signing bills right after.
Do people make
If
6?
people can make 6, so that we can all maybe make it
Probably not
a
even more than that day.
in and out, kind of, hopefully. in the-
Fair enough, so
hopefully
we'll
every
change
meeting.
it to 6 PM. I'm okay with that.
And I'll second it as amended then.
Okay. So I'll make the motion, Charlotte second. And that's this one, Christine, if you want to label it on your copy, local law A. All in
Got
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. And I will run this by Jeremy. So the next will be local law B of 2024. A local law amending chapter 128 taxation of the Code of the Town of Rochester, Article 5, exemption for disabled persons with limited income. It sets the public hearing be held December 28th to immediately follow public hearing, local law A. At the Harold Lipton Community Center, 15 Tobacco Road, Accord, and New York, and request the town clerk circulate notice.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Chrissy, I'll email this to you, so you, an email copy, so you don't have to work off the paper one. Okay. You want us to pause while you look that up, or you want us to move on to the next item?
Well, I've only gotten to the first of my comments
Okay,
and.
you continue,
Change.
you continue looking
And it's not.
Oh,
changed.
and, okay.
Right,
Well, and if you
the
don't,
time,
if you don't like it, we'll send it back to him and do it on the 28th.
yeah, you know what, and looking at it here, why don't you table this?
Fair enough.
Table it so I can look at it thoroughly, because
Yep.
maybe he
No-
put it somewhere else.
Nothing much is gonna happen between now.
Yeah, I don't see during
So we are
holiday
gonna
season this happen.
table resolution B. So, moving on to discussion items. And while we're on Bridge New York, just to give a quick update, we had a public information meeting last night for the Boys Mill Road Bridge project. Martin from HVEA was here along with the structural engineer for the project. We had 12 people, I think.
Yeah.
Aaron and Sam were here, as somewhat neighbors.
Yeah. I mean, I knew everyone in the room.
Everybody who was here lives directly next to or very near the bridge, everybody who came. It was a good meeting. There was some concerns about the impacts on erosion because the buttresses of it are being changed a little bit. The engineer did agree to sort of do a cost analysis of a different way to do it. He did admit it would be more expensive.
And they're gonna do a downstream. approach.
Yeah, they're gonna do a downstream erosion study. Some of the neighbors had some opinions that off the top of his head, the engineer didn't necessarily agree with, but he said he was gonna review the hydraulics. There was concern that by widening the buttresses of the bridge from the existing, that the stream would widen would increase the flow and that the directly downstream neighboring property would erode away more. And they expressed concerns. It also, doing the way they want to do it, it's right now, it's just sort of sitting, not on any sort of stable area. It's just there. The new proposal, the one side, they're going to build a short shelf, short wall. The other side, they're going to go down 26 feet because the bedrock is 26 feet down from the top of the bridge, anchor into that, and then that's what would cause the widening. So they're going to take a look at that. There was some discussion about what trees may need to come down and some concern, although I drove by there today and that one stand of trees they kept talking about, biggest tree is about this big. I was anticipating seeing trees you could wrap your arm around. These things are probably 25 years old. They certainly weren't planted. They certainly just, grew there. So it's not to dismiss the value of the trees, but it's not like it's 100-year-old sycamore that
Which
we're cutting down.
that's what they are concerned about, most they're the same.
There's one we will have to take down. It's 2 feet off the road. There's just frankly no way. The other one we hope to be able to leave. It depends on the root system, and until they actually start digging, they won't know, but they're gonna
It's just outside the,
the canopy
The
is
canopy,
just
so they think
outside the
it's
bridge
fine.
line, and they think they can work around it and say. But they are very conscious. We did get a lot of thank yous for keeping the rural style look at the bridge and not making it more modern. And it's going to be the same bridge basically, except 4 feet wider on either side. That's because we're required to build to allow pedestrian and bicycle. That doesn't exist right now. It's an 18-foot bridge now. It's going to become a 26-foot bridge.
can I add to that?
Please.
The most interesting thing, well, first, I thought it was a great input session. It was a mix of concern and just like really clear opinions. And then also a mix of support that this bridge needs to be replaced. So that I thought it was like really positive in that way because, it's not, people also were like, yeah, we know we need this bridge because the alternative is to not replace the bridge and then we would have a dead end road, basically. So, I thought that was great. The most interesting thing was we have to do a land taking.
Yeah.
And, to those parcels because all of our roads are used by right roads. So the town of Rochester doesn't own the land under the roads, but in order to do this project, we have to. And so there's going to be, we will be acquiring that
The
envelope.
trapezoid.
And
area.
there was a question about if we could put some kind of deed restrictions on property that
Against
we'll
ourselves.
own against ourselves to prevent certain types of things from happening. And I thought it was an interesting question. So,
The gentleman was worried that we might build a structure on this. Well, that will kind of defeat the purpose of it being a bridge, but so I said I would discuss that with you. A secondary part of that is, and we can talk offline, but I may have mentioned this in my voicemail
You did.
message. Yeah, so-
Basically, the engineering firm does that, but they come back to me to make sure they're doing it
with the easement.
from the
The-
easements
the-
and acquiring from.
The acquiring property. So the engineer previously, and again last night, said they normally use a firm. Apparently there is one firm in the state that does easements for just about everybody. That company has more or less disbanded because the person who runs it passed away.
Wow.
And so there's a ton of people trying to jump into the business.
Okay.
But with that, prices have gone up. And he said to me, do you want to consider using your own attorney? And I said, I will talk to her, but I think her opinion will be, you guys should do this and she'll consult.
Right, because they go and talk to the landowners, the prices may have jumped, but mine are gonna be higher. By the time you do all
But
that
it's-
non-legal work, and they have to come up with the description, I can't do that.
apparently there was just one one company that did the bulk, not all. of them.
Let me look in some of my old files, and who were we using on these? things?
I
We
don't
know.
remember.
Because I know that, I don't know if like in the past, Rainier and Larios, I've worked on projects with them where I think they did the actual work
Okay,
rather than hiring out for it.
But that's what the easement or both?
for both,
Because
for the
yeah.
takings of the property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some takings are permanent, where we
Yeah.
negotiate a price and
Right,
we
and
actually,
some are,
we said we
we
buy.
need this
Yeah.
while we're doing the work.
There's
Right.
a taking that's just gonna be during the duration. And
Right.
the way they described it is they have to have a survey and then do market rate for that
Yep.
percentage.
We will,
You have to
we will
have
be
fair
the
market
landowners of that trapezoid.
Yeah.
Of that property, which is the bridge area, and New York State requires you to have surroundings so you can work on the bridge.
And
So,
these companies, they get all that done, and then I look over the paperwork to make sure everything's in the right form.
and then the
I
other
usually end up
is,
changing it.
the other area is a temporary easement surrounding that area for more work, and also the steel beams that are gonna be, we're going from a steel beam and wood construction to a steel beam, and it's a concrete that comes in sections and is put together kind of like an egg crate kind of thing. But the steel beams come on one big long trailer and they have to be craned in, so the crane has to be parked a very specific spot. So what we will do is a temporary easement with the property owner where the crane will live and then we have to do an easement where the swing of the crane to get the beams from the truck, which is gonna back in from Sampsonville Road. I still wanna watch
I don't.
that.
Yeah.
It's a mile and a half. It's a mile and a half to go back. the
Yeah.
I
truck.
don't like
But
backing out of a drive.
our highway guys, when they were doing the rail trail, backed their trucks up
Mhm.
almost 2 miles.
They know what they're doing. They do.
But anyway,
Um,
yes,
to the point of, can there be restrictions on the deed? There can, but that is going to affect the fair market value of what we're getting.
Hmm.
So the price that they would be paid for that would be affected
Mhm.
if it's,
Well, they should, if they want that.
we
Right,
can, we
maybe
can
we
mention
could-
that to them, because we can certainly put a restriction on.
but
My
you
answer
don't
was,
plan to use it for anything else anyway.
is a deed restriction, I guess a deed restriction is imposable on a municipality though.
Sure.
Yeah, just like any other deed
Yeah.
restriction, so.
But it would affect the appraisal of the property.
Right.
Interesting point. We will pass that information on. He was just concerned that down the road.
They
and
were like, what
he-
if the
he
town
clearly-
would put in a charging station
Yeah.
and people would be parked on the side of it,
Right.
they're
Yeah.
just,
It was very hypothetical
Yeah.
and very unrealistic.
But I get it, you worry when it's
He's
your,
concerned.
you know.
And
you're
it's
giving
your
part of
property. But it's on YouTube, because you streamed it, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now moving on to we tabled the Bridge New York call for projects, new projects. If we want to move forward, we need to decide tonight because the application's got to be in by the 26th of January. But you have talked with Jeff. The project 32 one, or no, the Sundown Road one is actually probably a culvert and not a bridge.
No, Michael and me questioned if either of them, he said that project 32 definitely wasn't a full.
No, yeah,
And then I said, it's the
It
other
goes
one,
by the
maybe
length.
he didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
32 is definitely a bridge.
Yeah.
The Sundown road one is right on the edge. Potentially in theory, it could be replaced with a culvert.
oh, I see.
Jeff thinks it will be. It doesn't change any of this. Now, he did say though, that the Sundown Road one would probably not be, we're not talking a $2 million bridge
Right.
or a $2 million culvert. We're probably talking more like the Mill Hook Road one we did of $400,000 or $500,000. So what spurred me to think about is, and I've got to follow up with the county in 2024 is going to be doing a call for projects for smaller projects, like, remember, before we applied for the Bridge New York, we
Yeah.
applied the Boyce Mill Road Bridge, and they said, we'll fund it, but we don't have enough money to fund your bridge. So potentially, we could decide not to, we would still contract with CT Mail. It's just the application, instead of going to Bridge New York in January, would go to Ulster County when they call for projects next year. I can find out more information for that. In the next probably couple of weeks, I can find out more information of exactly when that's gonna happen. So what I'm thinking we can do, and you can tell me if we can do this, we can contract with them to do the study and the report. And then who they file with can be a to be determined for the Sundown Road one. They either will file for Bridge New York, or they will hang on to it and file it with the county when that one gets called.
You can.
Or we could file the Bridge New York if we don't get it. File with the county, except we won't know if we get it until after we have to file with the counties. But I don't think anything would stop us from being filed with Bridge New York and then file with the county anyway. We can always, if we did get the Bridge New York, we can just reject it.
Withdraw.
Because the county, it's gonna be a cheaper project if we go through the county. It's also not going to take as long. The process of the Bridge New York. Jeff's concern is the Sundown Road Bridge needs to be replaced sooner rather than later. And he said, given that it takes 4 to 5 years, he thinks it's gonna be too long. So, but at the cost that they're offering of $4,800 for one and $8,200 for two, it almost makes sense to me, and I know Charlotte kind of said the same thing. Let's contract with them. Even if we only get one, we apply for two, we're still making out. I mean, it's gonna pay
No matter
$95.
what, it's $100 for another 4,000 to have both written, and we could even put both into the county if we don't get both from Bridge New York, and then we have all of the data collected and everything at our fingertips to do it. So I personally think that we should just do both.
Yeah, we don't have to decide to submit to Bridge New York now. All we have to do is just accept their proposal and get them started on the project.
And
So-
those are the only two that Jeff feels like we.
Yeah, I asked him again. I said, "Are there any other culverts, anything?" Because Jim Thatcher from CT Mail said, "You got any culverts?" And I said, "I don't think so." But now I'm gonna go back to him and say, "Well, actually, we think one is a culvert." The difference is the culvert applications go directly to New York State. The bridge ones for this round go to the counties. So, but it's the county review under the Bridge New York program. If the county call for projects next year, will be a different process. It's not quite, it's nowhere near as onerous. It's scored very differently. It's a lot more, lot less rigorous as the process for the Bridge. But the good news is we're now not competing, used to compete against everybody in your region, which is 3 or 4 counties for our region. So the bridge projects that we apply for, we're only competing against Ulster County bridges. So we probably just went down at least 15 or 20% of competition. So if we're gonna get it, this is the year we're gonna get it. And they don't know when they're gonna do it. So I think I've had my answer. So I'm gonna make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the proposal with CT Mail Associates as presented at a cost of $8,200 for 2 separate applications. And the address for CT Mail, Christina, is 50 Century Hill Drive, Latham, New York, 12110. So, somebody want to make that motion, or I'll make it? I'll make it. We have a second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Get a bridge.
Let's get another one. Hey, we're getting good at it now. Okay, next, bearer bedrooms. We had a bit of a leak in the highway. It has leaked there before and we knew it during the building condition survey. It was mentioned that it was leaking. Christina, I didn't make a copy of this because it's a lot of pictures and stuff, but, I know. I'm sorry, I didn't. You wanna look at Michael's? So. I'm sorry, Charles. I got an estimate, which is under $3,000. So the good news is we can do a temporary roof repair and actually, because it's under the 3,000, we don't need a second quote. I can actually just, as the supervisor, authorize it and I just. However, this is temporary. They went up and looked at the roof. To start with, the roof is likely the original roof on that highway garage. It's probably 70 years old. The flat roof, it is a sort of a rubberized material that has to be heated up and softened and then somehow spread kind of. They gave a very ballpark estimate of somewhere between 175 and 200,000 plus for the complete repair of the roof. It would not be able to be done. It would need to be done in the dead of summer because it needs as hot a day as you can possibly get, or days. So with that price, we have to go out for sealed bids. There's no question on that. We have to. I brought it to you because the repair is necessary. I brought it to you for the repair. I mean, I'm planning on approving the temporary repair now. They can do that immediately. It is the company that did. While they were putting the roof on the pavilion, I said, can you go look at this? And they did, and this is what I got from them. I don't think it's worth going out trying to find another estimate to repair this. It's a reasonable number. It's under the requirement of needing another quote. So I think we do that. I just wanted to sort of share now. That leads me to the next item. We do have that ARPA money of 130,000 that we weren't sure what we were going to do with it.
So you might have found a home.
I may have found a home.
And like the building condition survey talked about the structure where the highway garage meets the town hall.
Yep.
At a funky angle.
Yep.
I mean, if we're
That's
in,
part of this.
okay, I was gonna say if we're in for a dollar.
Yeah, that's part of this problem. It's because of that seam, and then this crack is in a different spot, but not too far away, and it's a crack. And they have a very creative bucket drainage system in the highway garage that I give them great Inspector Gadget kudos for.
It's like that mousetrap. thing.
Kind of,
There you go.
exactly, yes. Comes down into a bucket that they drill a hole and put a hose in and drain it into a drainage area, and it's working great. But that's not a permanent solution. So, unless somebody is really opposed, I'm going to approve tomorrow the repair and get that done. So, and I'm going to work to create the specs. I probably will come back in like February because they're looking to, I don't want to overburden us in January. They would want to do it in like July or August when the repair. We'll go out to quotes and our bids and see what we get. But it's something we can't ignore unless we want to build a new highway garage. Probably a lot more than, a little bit more than.
Still buy the carpets where they have big bays at the end of it. So the highway trucking.
Yeah. Okay, so then with that said, the ARPA funds. I did a little research in the ARPA legislation. I have been unable to find any reference under the broadband section, Mary Lou, the question came up, well, you were listening in last meeting, so the question came up, Spectrum keeps saying, are you using ARPA money? Are you using ARPA money? We can do it differently if you use ARPA money. And I cannot find any benefit to them what the funding source is. The ARPA money was given to the town. One of the sources we can, or uses we can use it for is broadband. But if we use it for broadband, there is no benefit that I can identify that, and Michael's not here, Michael's gonna directly ask that. There's no benefit I can directly identify to the company that we're paying the ARPA money to. It's just money. So we can leave it where it is for now and wait, and that's fine. It was just a cleanup thing, so I'm gonna just say, let's leave it where it is. Sometime next year, we have to have it not expended, but we have to be committed and under a signed contract by December 2024. So by next year, we either have to take that money back and fund it or fund it directly for a project from where it is. And then when we expend the money, we move it in, or we pull it into our general fund and then we can use it for anything. But if we don't do one of those two by the end of 2024, we give it back. So, and I don't know anybody who's gonna give.
I bet you'll be able to use that.
I'm
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll find something.
So, and I'll have Michael follow through with them more, but I can't find anywhere, and it's just kind of indicative of the sort of double speak we've been getting from day one from them, so. Because we already have the 105,000 that is budgeted for broadband, and personally, I'd rather spend that. So.
Would you like me to call March also to see if she has any, because
Sure.
she and I have been having some
I
thoughts, not for here, but about.
asked her the other
broadband.
day if she knew of anything. She
Oh, okay. You already
No, but
answered.
you can, yeah, maybe I caught her in the middle of a UCRA meeting, so,
Okay.
or right after it. Anybody have any more to add on that topic, or if not, we'll move on to the next item, the closure for the winter. No, Aaron, you're gonna talk to Tina,
Hi.
no success.
I was able to talk partially through message to Tina.
Okay.
Which the consensus is that, they don't want it closed for the winter. They think that, residents will be affected by it and impacted by it, the volunteers will. I would propose maybe as a happy medium, since I know that our concern is of the safety level of the ice forming out front. I was gonna bring up that to find a medium somehow, to still keep it open somewhat, but once it gets to a point where it could be a liability with ice out there, is what if we left it, and for snow removal, I know is the other issue with it, what if we let them stay open until that hazard happens and then we close until the ice is gone? Like once ice does form and it does become where we need a snow removal problem, because we could have a mild winter and it's not an issue the whole winter, like I don't. So
Yeah.
I would propose maybe wait until like ice forms or we do have a big snowstorm, and then it would be closed until we have the area clear and it gets to a safe point
Do you
again.
guys wanna just because we did a resolution to open it, do you wanna do a resolution to just authorize the supervisor in consultation with the transfer station staff to decide when and if it needs to be closed and when that happens? And it could even be for a
Whether.
couple days and then reopen.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that it's just once ice is formed out there, because it can form and then 2 days later it's melted. And then so.
It could also be a few weeks.
Yeah, it can also
in
be a
which
few
case-
weeks, so
If you guys want, yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
as long
I
as
can
we-
kind of do it without the resolution, but with the resolution,
I
then I
think
can
as
say, hey,
long
the
as-
board's in agreement on it.
I think, yeah, as long as I like the idea of,
I'm fine with it.
I like,
Put it on a 2-hour delay.
And then I do wanna say in attachment to this, I think that next year it is really important that we take the time. I know that this got put on pause because of what happened with the concrete wall, but I do them fixing it and this issue being fixed with the drainage there. I think we really do next year need to look into in the spring when we can work on it. Make sure that we get a project that happens. I know we went from that right into zoning code, so I totally forgot about the project happening to update that and fix that.
Yeah.
So I think that we really do need to look at that for next year so that this won't be an issue next winter at all.
Hopefully that can be a duty and responsibility of the building maintenance position.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too, that once we get someone in that's gonna be in part in charge of the transfer station.
I also would
get
like
everything
to-
moving there.
Explore changing the way it's set up, because just in general, it's there because that's where it always was. But I think there could be a much more efficient and safer flow. Cause like I went there this first Saturday to bring in my huge bag of plastic. Cause I didn't want to sit for 3 more months with it in my garage. And, there was a bunch of cars parked there and people walking, and it was just, it's just so congested and tight there. And as somebody's coming around the corner driving, somebody else is walking, and it's just a recipe for disaster. So
Yeah, I think if that happens, like,
we need to just figure out a better traffic pattern and flow.
yeah, and I think to figure that out, we should bring in the volunteers from the exchange and the transfer station workers at the same time so that we can
That
come to a medium agreement.
The information that I am getting from the staff though is that volunteers is volunteers singular. He said that he only sees one person there on a regular basis. And that's the only person he sees. So, and she continues to come all the time. So I'm not knocking it, but it's the volunteers that we had in the beginning have dwindled and have disappeared. And lately it's one person who's coming all the time. So it's just something to take into consideration where we could say back to the people running this is we need a little, it shouldn't just be one person. If that person's okay with it, that's fine. That's what it's become. I'm not there every day to witness it, so I can't confirm it, but that's what I'm told. So.
Yeah, well, regardless if it's one or multiple volunteers, I think that the discussion of if we're making changes there should be open with everyone.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, understood. Understood. Okay, so do you feel the need to do a resolution, or you just want me to do it on a day-to-day basis?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter to me.
I think as the supervisor, you have the authority.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
until
but
we
that
get
was-
someone that's overseeing the transfer station and everything there for the time being, then that can fall to them.
Okay.
If we get someone there before the operation or.
Yep. Understood. Okay, next, I received a letter from a resident, regarding, that voucher that we had, from the highway about the vehicle that was damaged, and we paid a portion. She called me not knowing, because had not received the check yet, but I didn't print you one. Oh, yes, I did. Had not heard, she had not, gotten the check yet, but I explained to her what we did and why we did it. And, she was very upset about it, said, what can I do? And I said, either come to a town board meeting at the first meeting of the month and talk to the board in person, and she said, what can I do before then? And I said, write a letter. So she did. She wrote this letter, which I received a couple days ago. The first page is the new letter. The 2 pages in the back are what was submitted earlier, but she included all that. So I'm presenting it to you. If you want to have discussion, if you want to look at it and think about it and have discussion at a different time. It literally came in a couple days ago, which is why I didn't share it by email. So, but they are essentially appealing that we only paid 500 instead of the 800. So there also is obviously conflicting opinions as to the cause of this. And obviously this person has some very strong opinions. I have been told that statements made here are not 100% correct, but again, I was not there, so I can't say which side is accurate. But I mean, it's being portrayed as a car accident, but it was not an accident. Somebody drove over a freshly chipped road and had damage to their car.
I have a question for you. I know nothing about this,
Yeah.
but did we have prior written notice of the condition? Because if not, you don't know or anything.
Understood. So
You know, that doesn't mean
the
you can't
background,
do
the
it.
background on this is there were probably 5 or 6 issues. The other people went to a detailing place that we arranged for, who then addressed the detail, you know, the cleaning of the car, the pulling it, and then sent us the bill, and we have paid them. This person was one of the first ones and was originally told to go to, I don't want to name names, but to
Okay.
go to the vendor that they did go to, who came back and said, you have to replace all the parts,
Okay.
total replacement of them. Was told by the highway superintendent, well, we can't do that. The person then chose to go to their own dealer, who also replaced the parts, but they filed an insurance claim, which paid bill
Yeah.
minus a $500 deductible, which we did pay. We
Right, which you
Yeah.
can, but although you're not obligated.
understood,
What do
but
you mean about written notice prior?
There's something on highway conditions in our law, which is in pretty much every municipality, that if we don't have prior written notice of a condition, if, you know, if the first person came in and wrote to us or sent us an email and said, hey, this is a mess, they're not doing this properly, everybody after them would have a
well, this
claim.
was a one day thing. They were
Right,
oil and
right,
shipping
right.
the road one day, and then they
But
were
if
done.
there's no prior written notice of
Right.
what
I see.
has happened, you have no obligation to pay.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody gave written notice.
Right, and that, but that's what the law is. So I, you know, and I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do, and I've seen other municipalities do that. You know, say, okay, we're gonna take care of this even though we're not legally obligated to. But especially if this person was the first person to go through.
Well, and I don't wanna get into naming names.
Yeah,
but
I
if you-
don't.
No, but if you look at the 3rd paragraph, that has been disputed
Okay,
by the
I
person,
kind of figured it would.
so, but I wasn't on the party, so I can't say.
Mhm.
And then, the original letter does explain more of the situation. So I said I would present it. It's, I'll do whatever this board would like me to do. If we want to do nothing, I will just reach back out and say, the board has heard your request and will not be considering it, or if you want to consider it, I can put it in the next vouchers. So it's, I think my personal feeling is that I think we have gone above and beyond. We have paid approximately what we paid for other vehicles. Some were less expensive because we were just billed directly for the services. And the company that did it had varying degrees of time. So it was a range of costs. This would definitely, what we paid is on the higher end of what we paid to the vendor for other vehicles.
Well, I think it's kind of, I don't know how to think about it, but the additional expenses were for choices that were made
That's my feeling. There
To
were choices that
travel.
were made.
to,
Yeah, the only one I'd be
Volvo.
willing to do is the $67 to Volvo for the replacement parts. that were permanently damaged if we sent any.
I think
Out of this.
I think the $67 was the supplies bought at Walmart.
No, that's one. It was 143
see.
for clean for supply
Oh, I
at
see.
Walmart. The 67 paid to Volvo for replacing the parts permanently and approximately $87 catching
And
gas.
I'm guessing that no notice of claim was filed?
No, well,
No, I'm fine with
so,
leaving it at
so
what I
this,
told.
so this letter here, the second letter, Mary Lou, is that a notice of claim?
I'd have to look through the whole thing to see if they need. Probably not. A notice of claim, you don't put it in an amount.
Yeah, so. It's more just a history.
And a notice of claim,
Yeah.
it looks like she wrote a letter, notice of claim has to be served.
And it was significantly after the fact. I mean, the original was in
Right, it
May
was May, so,
and she, you
right,
know,
so.
and the
I'm
letter
trying to remember whether it's
references
served or
October.
60 days. Right. So she could bring litigation, but there's all sorts of,
I think we made a good faith. I think we have two disputed claims as to what happened with our highway department said what they said. I think it's in line with everything else. And yeah, and I would agree that we should leave it where it was with no additional.
Okay, I'm fine with that. So we take no action on it. So now moving into the municipal code. I did not bring new copies because I handed you that last meeting, so I don't know if you have them with you, but so there's the zoning coordinator position, there's the municipal code assistant, and then there was the municipal code aide. You know what? I didn't copy the municipal code aide.
You didn't give that one to us?
I did not. You were correct.
I looked it up online.
So as Michael said, it mirrors this, except this one, the assistant says participates and assists in the operation of municipal building department. And the aide says assists in the operation of municipal building department. It doesn't have the word participate, but I said to Michael, what's the difference between participates and assists? And he goes, got me. So in his opinion, they are both very similar job. The difference is the municipal code assistant test is being given on January 17th. The aide position is not scheduled for
And you were
test right
supposed to have registered for it already, or like on
Uh,
Monday or
tomorrow.
tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow. And so so the question is, do we want to, there's a couple options. We can we can request to assign the town of Rochester to the municipal code aide position. I don't know if we will get it before January 1. We already have the zoning coordinator. In our budget process, we planned on replacing the zoning coordinator position just for funding. I mean, we will still have a zoning coordinator availability, but we didn't budget for that. We budgeted for a TBD position, which would be municipal code aide, which, as Michael said, is a trainee in transition to eventually become code enforcement officer. And when that happens, we would then fill the aide position, the zoning coordinator position again. In the interim, that person who was the municipal code aide would do some office work, some field work, but they have the legal authority is given by being having passed the code enforcement test. This person has. The ability to do it from their job description is done by the civil service description. So
And that's the one, the aid.
the aide,
One
yeah,
that's
and I'm
in
sorry I
practice
didn't print it out. and I thought I
No, that's just that's the assistant one.
Well, because I understand the difference of what they're saying there. If you're just saying to assist, like it says in that description, they can only assist the code enforcement officer. If it's saying but participates, right, is what the word
Right.
is?
Well, participates and assists in enforcing local laws and ordinances, or assists in enforcing local laws and ordinances. our HR consultant's opinion is that someone who is assisting in enforcing local laws and ordinances is empowered to issue violation notices. And that's really the key question.
Well, because I would assume that the person that participates is the one that's authorized to do that, because
I
they're
agree.
participating in the act
I
of
agree.
it.
They have
They're not,
different-
the participating assists are not the same.
I agree with Charlotte.
What would the assist mean then?
It would say, I'll prepare it and somebody else will sign.
But they
Participate,
couldn't serve or do the same things. Participating is that they're doing the same function as the code. They can participate in the same functions as the code enforcement officer. Just assisting it, they can't sign off on anything. They can't serve anything. They can't do anything else, from my interpretation of that one word difference.
I agree, and there is that one word difference, so it's gotta have meaning. And one does say assistant and the,
Yeah, the other thing we have learned too is many of these code descriptions come about because a municipality asks for it, and they obviously write it for their specific situation.
and of course, I'm always looking at it from, what if somebody challenges this? And if I were challenging it, my argument would be, it does
Well,
not say
so,
they can participate. There is an option available for participation.
okay. Well, the issue then is that with the test being given in January, we would be forced to take somebody off that list and not the person we want to put in.
Well, depending on like how this one.
Well, I also think we're probably gonna be the first this guy to ask for that position. I don't think it's I think it's being given just in general because there's.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We don't
code
have it
enforcement.
yet, so
If we ask for it and the test is given a month from now, they're gonna tell us we have to take from that list from that test.
But the employee could still take the test, or they have to be in that position to take the test.
They have to have taken the test to be off and scored high enough to be off the position.
But we could, you could,
Ask them to take the test.
It's too late. They have to register by tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Or,
it's a matter
So
of,
wait,
it's a matter of.
when's the test? The test is January what?
and how long
So
does
why
it
don't we table
usually?
this till our meeting on the 11th? And then we can make a decision on which position we want to.
I don't think,
I
that-
don't
no,
think
but we
it
have
would
to ask the
test.
county, that's not gonna change, no, we're gonna have to ask the county to create, all the county's gonna do is create the position for us.
yeah, by the,
And my guess is they will wait to create the position until the test is given. We don't have any,
Do we know how long it
Oversight.
takes? And the answer is probably, you know,
how long it takes to hear back from the county?
to hear about the scores.
Oh, 3 months,
Okay,
3 months, minimum.
Okay.
And they say that in the minimum.
yeah, that's what okay. So you're
So,
waiting at least 3 months
Right.
if this is what you're weighing.
but if we create this position later, now, there is a possibility we could say, and I've had conversation with Michael about this, is we can always say that the person, the job requires a resident of town, and for this type of job, you could make that argument very valid. It is the type that, intimate knowledge of the town,
Okay, so
the ability to respond,
I'm sorry, which is the test coming up on?
the assistant position,
The assistant, not the
not the
aide.
aide. The aide is not on the list for tests, so if
So
we create the aide position,
you could
we
always
can immediately
later,
put somebody in.
right, you could put someone in the aide position. And then, should you decide later that you'd rather have the assistant position, why can't you
And,
apply for that and change that position?
right, or we could, so we've got the zoning coordinator, we've got the code enforcement officer, there's the aide here, the assistant here. And, so there's 2 steps in between code enforcement officer.
So it would seem logical to have all those positions available as we're moving people through there, especially if there's gonna be
And
other
then you
people
can
taking
fill
the other
those that you
position.
want to.
Well, yeah, but personally, I don't see as Michael said, the aide and the assistant are basically the same job.
Yeah, if I could just interrupt, the way it reads, I agree that those two words are different, but the way this is written, it says work is performed under general supervision, not like
Direct.
So, and then it's like assists in reviewing and approval of plans.
Yeah.
So I don't think, it's like, it does sound like, and then it says assist,
Are you reading,
and-
you're reading the aide?
yeah, and under supervision inspects. So like it says when that should be performed under supervision. But otherwise it reads like it's you're assisting in the building department functions under the general supervision of an employee, not that like you're not allowed to perform.
You
that
just said
work.
it too, it reads as if they're assisting, not as if they're actually.
It says assist in the operation of a municipal building department as the first, so. That's
But it
what I'm
does
saying,
say,
like
it
they're,
does say approving plans, approving.
do you see what I'm saying, that assists in enforcing local laws and ordinances related to zoning? To me, it sounds like it's more like there's a meeting that happens and then they're directed to go do, that's all I'm saying, it's like,
Because it says assist in local laws and zoning.
Well, in me legally, like if I wanted to get down to it, if this person was in that description that doesn't say practices under enforcing ordinance.
Participate.
Or participates in serving ordinance. If I got served an ordinance and there was the other job description and it says they can only assist in it. I'm gonna sue over what ordinance,
I'm gonna say it's.
because they weren't allowed to do that, they weren't authorized to serve me with that. Is what I'm trying to, the liability of that potentially happen. I would hope that that never happens, but
Well, but
the
except,
reality that we live in is that people can do that.
except as a licensed code, as a certified code enforcement officer, they have the authority from New York State to issue those notices. Because New York State, this is the job description. New York State, in taking the test, states who has the power to, by passing the test, you can write. the
But wouldn't
violation.
we then, as the town, not be authorizing them to use it without having a word in there that says, that's not, like assist is very specific. You're
Yeah,
assisting,
well,
you're not actually doing that job, you're assisting it.
I agree though with Aaron in the distinguishing features of the class and the typical work activities, which covers the whole beginning. We don't have to decide this moment. I will print out the other one, and I'm sorry, I thought I had printed both the other day and apparently I didn't. I will print the aid and share it with you all by email, or you can go online. They're all now on the county personnel site, finally, after a lot of badgering for that to happen. I agree with our consultant that they're basically the same. And he believes that the aide position is what we are attempting to do.
so the two things that I'm just with this position, I think that even if there's a team going out, that was what was explained to me as sort of the idea behind what would be useful.
Yes.
But in the whole description, there are two, it says assist, but then there are two specific things that says, and under supervision does this, but on these two specific things. So what my feeling, the way I would read this is that there's a decision maker in the office, but that as long, and it says at the bottom, you can require this class to complete any training that we mandate, so that person legally can make certain determinations, but they're not going out there and doing it. They're like being directed.
Right, and part of the reason we're doing this is because our code enforcement officers wanted to cut back a little on hours and not gonna be in the office all the time. Certainly, though, this would be, an inspection can happen by the code enforcement officer or by both the aide and the officer. And then the code enforcement officer can say, write up this violation notice, but now doesn't have to go to the code enforcement officer, put their signature on it, the aide can put their signature on it.
I wanna
That's-
actually read both things, it's,
Yeah,
so.
I'll send them to everybody. We don't have to decide tonight. We do have to decide some point soon. In the interim, we will just, at the organizational meeting, we'll continue with the zoning coordinator until we decide this. And even still, even if we decide, we have to get county approval for, and that could take months. I mean, sometimes it's taken 6 or 8 months for an answer to come. So,
And you might want to ask this person if
We
they
have.
can
yeah.
sign in tomorrow. Sign up for the test tomorrow.
Oh, no, yeah, that's the issue. They're not comfortable with the short notice of the test just got posted. Fairly, well, it just got noticed that it was posted, so.
Right, so.
Yeah, sorry, it's in the beginning. Work is carried out in accordance with established procedures and may involve a combination of areas of activity, including building inspection and enforcement of various local laws. Including, I guess I understand the assist. I don't think this is someone who's a decision maker. They're following procedure and direction, but they can do the work without a supervisor present. To me is what this, but they're not like
They're-
making the choice.
They're not gonna go out and do their own inspections, but the goal of this is mostly in signing the letters and documents, we don't now have to sometimes wait 3 and 4 days to sign them.
Well, send it out and I'd love to look at it as a whole, because I'm hearing sentences, but I'd love to
I will
look at them.
send both to everybody.
If you guys want me to, you can say no.
No, I'll have you look at it. Yeah.
And sorry,
I could change my mind once I read the whole picture.
but they can become more and more independent as they gain experience.
Okay.
It says that.
I mean, that's
That's what we wanted out of the.
where opinion of our HR was that it should be called code enforcement trainee. Because that's
Right,
really.
but it's not,
It's
so.
not. Well, I know, it's,
But I will,
but I'm
to
trying.
me, what I'm trying to say is this sounds like what we wanted is a someone who is not making decisions, but is able
Exactly.
to make the determinations
Exactly.
under supervision.
But if the answer is the word participates, if it's not there means they can't put their signature on it, then it doesn't work for what
Right.
we were
So
envisioning.
I'll take a look at both. We
So-
can go around forever tonight, but.
Yeah, that's kind of all I'm worried about,
Let's take
too,
a
is that
look.
if they actually
We
have
wanna
the
make sure
power
they
within
have
the
that.
description to
That's
do
the
that.
way.
Well, they have the authority by the certification.
Yeah, so they could do it now, and we don't have to change the title then. based on-
Well,
Well,
they
not,
can't do it as the zoning coordinator.
no, they can't, that is not part of the scope of that job.
The zoning
So that would
coordinator
just be
does
a
not
violation.
have, this one is a gray area, the zoning coordinator is very black. The zoning coordinator processes,
And you send that definition as well.
I'll send all three
Thank
to everyone.
That's fine.
Yep.
Thank
But
you.
the zoning coordinator is essentially, and we wrote, Michael Richardson and I, in this job
I
description,
remember.
along with the person who's doing the job or was doing it previously. So, okay, the reason I'm trying to fit it into one of the existing is if we create our own job, they're probably gonna kick back one of these and say, this is what
We
you
already
want. Or B, they're gonna take a year to come back and say, which it sounds silly, but that's how long sometimes it takes. It took 9 months for the zoning coordinator position to get finally back to us, so.
And I'd imagine at the beginning of the year, as towns have done their budgets and have thought these things over, they probably get a lot of more
Yeah.
requests at the beginning.
I suspect the reason, like I said before, the reason all those classes are being offered is there is a lack of code. There are a lot of openings for
Definitely.
code enforcement officers. There is nobody on the list.
Yep.
So they're trying to generate a list. So all the code enforcement, building inspector positions, all those tests are being given.
Yeah,
And
they're very
that's-
hard to fill.
And the state sets when the test is, not the county. The county, the state is a statewide test going on in every county at the same time. So
Yep.
I'm sure it's a statewide need. Next, move into the building maintenance position. We had the two, the leader and the supervisor. The leader was a non-competitive position. The supervisor was competitive. And I think our general discussion was the building maintenance leader was where we were more inclined to go to. We want somebody who could do the work, but also could be for Mary Lou, what we've included in our budget is a 20-hour-a-week position for a buildings maintenance leader we have one building employee. This person would oversee that person, but they would take care of the scheduling of things like, the oil burner needing to be cleaning and making sure the filters in all the units that have filters need to be changed. Because right now, all that falls to my office. And it's a lot for all the buildings we have. So we only did it as a part-time position, thinking that they would come in either a few hours a week or full-time for a couple of days a week or whatever. We kind of, in my mind, this is maybe somebody who's retired, who has the skill set, who's looking for something to do part-time. And so, do you want me to pass these two around if people look? Because I'd like to put in the request to create the leader position unless somebody really feels.
And the leader was the non-competitive, right?
You want to look at this?
No, I remember the non-competitive one. was
Yeah, the
one
leader
that I
is
wanted,
shown
but
as
didn't know about
non-competitive.
that one.
It is shown as a union. They're both shown as a union position, which means these two positions probably are county positions and not town positions at the moment. But because it's an Ulster County position, it can be assigned. I don't, unless there's a collective bargaining agreement.
No, I remember that.
Although this person would probably
I
fall
was
on.
gonna say, don't we have building under highway?
Yeah, so we have buildings under highway, but, and being that this person would be both a worker and not just a manager, this probably would come under their purview, but, we can certainly do an amendment to the contract to add this new position.
What's the building's position title?
Laborer,
Just building labor?
just laborer,
Just labor.
laborer and general.
Oh.
It used to be municipal worker 1. We had municipal worker 1 and municipal worker 2. We reclassified it as labor. a while
I think
ago.
the important part of the thing is that they can participate in it, sometimes.
Yeah.
You just need somebody to grab the other end of this thing,
Well,
so you need
Yeah.
two people sometimes.
both of these can, like the supervisor says, supervises and participates in plumbing, electrical, supervises. The leader is supervises and or participates, supervisors and or participates. Supervises ground maintenance activities, although we're still continuing to give our grounds to the highway department. But this is typical work activities. It doesn't have to fit. That's the thing too. Even in the other one, I didn't even think about, these are listed as typical work activities. It doesn't mean that every single one is exactly that way, so.
To me, the main difference between the two is the building maintenance supervisor does not necessarily perform the work.
Well, but number,
They have more leeway, whereas the leader, it's performed under a higher level.
correct. Correct. And the supervisor is requisitioning tools, vehicle maintenance records, which we don't need them to do, but they're more, it's scheduling and assigning tasks, scheduling fire inspections.
Yeah, what I'm looking at is the work is performed under general direction of a supervisor with considerable leeway for planning and carrying out assignments, whereas the leader position does not have, there's under general.
But it does say supervision is exercised over the work of lower level building.
Yes,
maintenance
they
employees.
can supervise, but they are also more supervised.
Right. It does say work is performed under the supervision of the superintendent of buildings and grounds or other higher level employee. So in that case, this would be under the supervisor.
Right.
It is.
Okay, so somebody want to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to request creation of a building maintenance leader position for the town of Rochester?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We already had discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ambulance district contracts. So I don't know if you want to wait till Michael's here. Just, I don't know if anybody had a chance to look through to see if there's anything that they desperately want to change. I would like to try to get them done by the end of January instead of into February like last year, but, I'm comfortable with both, but I know Michael had some points about some of the, reporting that we wanted to maybe sort of beef that up a little bit.
If I'm honest, I haven't gotten a chance to review
That's
them yet,
fine.
so I would personally like to table them so I can take a look, and I also do want Michael here since he's the liaison to both, but.
Fine with both.
Up to you guys, whatever you want.
I put it on just because it was a carryover, but I just had a feeling that would be the answer. Subdivision zoning code, next step. So a couple things have come up since, the letter did go out.
I got mine.
Friday? Monday.
Monday morning.
Monday morning, the letter went out. We know it's gotten out because some people have come in already, so some people have received it. We also got one returned to us already. Because it was a double row and it cut off the zip code, so we resent that one. Cut off the Kerhonkson, New York, 124. Because the name was a long run-on name and the label we printed rolled over and we missed it. And it was only room for 3 lines, so the 4th line didn't print. So with all that, we held subdivision open we closed the hearing but held it open for written comments as of today. Kate hasn't sent me any subdivision comments. You haven't received any, so we have received no new written comments. I would like to possibly at our 28th meeting, unless you want to do it tonight, but I don't think we want to do it tonight. Start looking through the 3 main sources of comments that we got were from our planning board, the county planning board, which were minimal. And the county planning, our town planning board asked their planning consultant to do a review, and he did a review. So those 3 are really the 3 documents that we got comments on. I think we could go ahead and finish subdivision sooner rather than later, be done with that. So you would have to tell us if we need to reconvene the public hearing. And I did ask the county if they would want re-referral, and he said, if you follow our comments, you don't need to re-refer.
Right.
So,
It depends how extensive, you know,
I know.
how
Well,
extensive
we'll
the
send it to
changes that you decide.
Some of the
on
local
are.
planning board and the planners' comments are not contrary, but they're different
They're
comments.
different
than the
comments,
county.
but I think we should follow.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a number of them that I agree.
And-
And actually one I love, he's like, get rid of that whole reset.
Yeah,
Did Rob say anything about what, you know, if you follow their advice, but then you also follow the advice from the planning board and their consultant, that might change the advice of the county.
It might.
So
and
you
I-
might
yeah, I
wanna
thought about
re-refer it anyway. It really depends on how far you go.
Well, I came prepared for that tonight. Did you wanna?
it. Do you want to talk about it tonight at all? I'm okay with it. I have my copies. We could do it tonight. It really, then I do want to bring up one other thing. So there is a property in town, and I'll just skip it, that the people applied for the micro business cannabis license and have received it. Reached out to the code enforcement officer to say, what does this mean? And the answer was not currently allowed in the town because it's in our proposed adoption.
Oh, we did, yeah.
So they called me and I said, apparently they were told, well, you can apply for your building permit now and start your building. But you won't be able to get your site plan. And so the question that was posed to me is, well, when will this be done? And I said, honestly, probably March or April at this point, because if we're gonna have these meetings. We're not really gonna dive into this till February. We're gonna have to do a re-referral to the county, probably looking at earliest some point in March. However, I want to float this idea out to our board. We held a public hearing on the cannabis, we held it open. Our attorney has rewritten that section because now the micro business and all the regulations change. Here's my thought of a proposal. I'm not saying I support it or don't support it, just a thought of a process. We could re-refer to the county. They would, I can get it to you for the 28th meeting. We could re-refer to the county. The county will review it at their January meeting. The local planning board will review it at their January meeting. We can have a public hearing at the end of January. We could approve, just like we did the ADU section and the short-term rental section, we can approve that section of code as an amendment to the existing code. And it would not hold them up for months. They were just basically, they called me to say, what can we do? What does it mean? Because they were held up with the state for quite some time. They now have their permit. They're like, great. And then it was like, oh, we gotta wait again. So I could support that because the state has said, we don't have a choice of whether it happens or not. It's a site plan review. It's not a special use. The state has said to the municipalities, if you didn't opt out, you must allow these. You just have to say where. We would have to amend that law to get all the definitions.
I was gonna say,
into
we
that.
have to get the,
Yeah. But that can be done.
Yeah.
I could bring that back, present it to you guys on the 28th of December. You could set it for public hearing. We could refer it to the county, refer it to the local
will
planning
the
board.
county look at it if we don't refer it to the 28th?
Because they already looked at it once.
I know,
Yeah.
Rod's been pretty,
No, but in the last referral of the overall zoning law, one of the things we got was a congratulations on
Right.
our cannabis section. So we're gonna be referring them the same.
hey, if they'll look at it, that's great.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We're sending them the same thing that they've already referred. And I'll explain to them why we're doing it.
I'm gonna say yes. I was gonna suggest the same thing, that we just pull it out and get the moved.
Just
through.
want feedback. If the board wants to do that, we'll prepare it. Doesn't mean we're gonna, you know. We
Is
still
there-
have to hold, we'll still have to hold a
Yeah.
public hearing. We're gonna go through the process. We're not doing anything. We're just not gonna wait till all the rest of the zoning stuff gets done to get the cannabis section.
Is there any concern about the mapping, and changing the mapping?
That's a good question. We'll have to look at it. If we do, we can always amend, if we approve it, we can always amend it in the final law to add, you know, I don't remember if we specifically mentioned PL 10. I don't think we did. If we did.
It's only
we just-
allowed in business.
Business.
I think, yeah, it's only allowed in business, and
Right, but we were making significant changes to the business area. I don't know what specifically what property.
It's
No.
fine.
no, it's fine.
It's
But if it's in business now, you're okay.
Right. It's in
Others
business
may
now, and
be-
and
it may be allowed in other
it's in
places.
business and it will remain in business.
Okay.
Or it would be grandfathered in.
So, okay. So I will prepare that for us for the 28th. I'll work with Mary Lou to make sure we pulled everything in, and I won't need you here that night. You can just help me get the
That's good.
people all
The
together.
30th birthday.
I get it. So with that being said, that's all I have for the agenda. So it's 8 o'clock. Do we want to spend a little time to talk about the subdivision?
Can we also have another
Executive
executive session?
We do.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, we do. You're right. We do have another executive session, and
Only
also,
one other.
yeah, I would like to do an attorney's meeting after the executive session. So you
Well-
want to?
I think, could we spend like 10 minutes talking about subdivision?
Sure.
So we're like,
Because if there's anything that we agree with the comments, I can just immediately get that inserted in.
or even there are like discussion points that maybe we should just like be ready to discuss.
Okay.
When we're gonna discuss it.
Yeah, I'm fine. Fine with
Cause,
that.
I mean, I liked Dave's recommendations to just delete re-subdivision.
Yeah.
And then the thing he brought up on flag lots is that we need to like align as a board on how we wanna
Apparently, I didn't bring the county comments. I have everything.
deal with
except-
that, and I felt like it might be good for us to prepare for that discussion.
Do we want to just quickly look through these comments and see if there's anything we just immediately agree with or immediately disagree? I can read, I don't know, Chuck, do you
We
have?
gave them out last meeting.
Probably
It was-
2 meetings ago. Yeah. There was, I gave a big copy of the subdivision and then, 2 smaller pages, statement pages of notes.
Did you happen to email it? No, it was not here 2 meetings ago.
No, I didn't. I can.
I think that would be lovely. 'Cause I would look at it.
Send you Dave Church's for sure. The town comments, I mean, easily.
We hope we didn't make it too exciting for you.
Thank you. Don't find that too often.
I always think that
People. Like me, like whatever girl reports on the 14th,
She gets an A.
she gets an A, get her an A no matter what.
She said we did great.
Got applause.
We had the one kids come down and watch us sign bills one night, we're like, I don't know if this is none of you guys want to do this.
Really?
And they actually stayed.
They did.
So this will probably be a little insulting to
They have to stay.
Adam, but I just remember I used to be on the YMCA board. For a while, I was the president, and like every year, our insurance company would come to give us updates. And I was like, they were just the nicest people, but I was like, okay, dazzle us, keep us awake, we dare you.
Yeah, I think they have to stay for a certain number of minutes.
I think that's.
And that's why those
Oh.
poor kids that
She
stayed
was
at that
going,
one
"Stop
audit
talking
meeting
about
until
this."
like 9:30 at night. It was the only audit meeting last year that we had nothing else on the agenda, so they were literally just here watching us sign the bills. And I was like, I'll sign your agenda, like, leave, please go home, like, I don't want you to sit here for this anymore.
So Mary Lou, I just sent you the Dave Church ones. Gotta find the town ones. Question, we're not gonna adopt anything tonight, right? Will you continue to stay just to listen to us talk about subdivision? Because she's gotta look at.
She's actually praying at the meeting. Now go home.
We can go.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Go take it now.
You're not gonna argue, you sure?
Oh, no.
I forgot to respond to Kate about the holiday luncheon, but I have jury duty Monday, perhaps, so.
When did she send an email? I don't think I got
Oh, ages ago.
it.
I forgot about the part on the bottom that, shh, don't tell Mike.
Okay.
It was a while back. And I remember I was all excited. I looked at my calendar, I'm like, I don't have anything. I can actually go this year. And I'm like, jury duty.
I love jury duty. I'm
Oh.
probably the only person that thinks. But I always get dismissed.
Good night.
Because you that one that I gave you.
Yeah,
it's like
I'm
it's
self-employed and have clients. That's the only reason. I wouldn't mind if I
See you tomorrow.
worked somewhere that would give me the time off and pay me, but when I have jury duty,
No, I signed up for them to do it every 3 years instead of 6 for me.
Okay,
maybe I'll tell them to.
I'm looking for the local comments. Can we start with, let's start with Dave Church's comments, the planner's comments, because they're the most extensive and they're also the most thorough, so.
Okay.
So definitions. He supports the changes proposed and they bring consistency, so that's just, he likes what we did. Re-subdivision, sees this term as arcane with little to do, no modern utility. Seems to be a carryover from state enabling legislation now decades old. there's no rationalization. He called some experts in modern code, so it'd be to delete the term as not useful to avoid introducing confusion. I would agree.
I mean, I
So
see no need to keep it either.
if we, so what I'll do is I will delete the definition. And and what I'm going to do is make these changes as I make them in a different color. So you guys can see the new changes from the original changes. So I'm going to delete the definition. I'm going to do a word search for wherever the word re-subdivision is, and then determine if it should just go away entirely or if it should be reworded to say something different. Is that okay with everybody? And we don't have to decide exactly what we're gonna change, but if we just agree, we're gonna delete and that will also translate into zoning, because the definition is absolutely in zoning too. And I agree, there's been inconsistent use because it's been viewed as anytime a change happens to a subdivision, an existing subdivision, that it is a re-subdivision. And I would agree that's probably the case. But a lot of times, a simple lot line adjustment has been turned into a whole subdivision. And it really didn't need to be. So, it used to be, but it changed. Flag lots. I'm not sure, confusion over whether or not a second flag can be a finding.
Witnessing this during planning board meetings,
Yeah.
and he's reporting to us of what happened.
So since you probably attended more planning board meetings than me in the near past, recent past, Aaron, do you think it's something, a code issue, or do you think it's just a understanding issue?
He's saying, I feel like what he's saying is like, we need to say, we haven't solved the problem of how many flag lots are allowed, and we need to just settle it.
But I think we did in our new code, didn't we?
He's saying that we didn't.
Okay.
So maybe we just take it deeper. Like make a
So-
note.
I can ask him, well, I can ask him to elaborate and tell us how.
He says,
I mean, he does go on for a little bit here.
he's saying,
Can you get a waiver for a second flag lot?
right,
Clarify that for us.
But
Right.
that's what he goes on to say is that by introducing a waiver, it basically takes it out. It says no limit or with or without a
All right.
limit flag lot subdivision application 1, 2, but with a waiver or no limit with or without a waiver.
What section is flag lots? I don't know where it is. Is it in zoning or is it in?
it's definitely in zoning, but it's gotta be referenced,
Yeah,
right?
well, it's defined. But I don't know that flag lot is in,
No, I think this flag lot seems zone.
It's definitely in zoning.
Only by
Options.
well, it's because it's defined, and so he's going through the definitions. I think he's just bringing it up as because a flag lot is a part of subdivision. It's a type of subdivision. But it's the size of the lot is done by zoning because that says we definitely address it all in zoning because we talk about
Yeah,
the pole of the flagpole width now and the frontage on the road but other than defining, well, I can do a word search. Are you're there, there's no sense what we're doing.
Page
Um,
68.
Yeah,
68? That sounds like it's during conservation. So
there's,
All front side setback regulations.
I have set 57, a minimum street or private road frontage, 40 feet. The planning board may waive the town flag lot specifications for conservation.
where are you? Oh, for conservation.
And then,
And that's what it's talking about,
That's what-
waiver.
66 F.
but
Right,
then-
but we're only allowing it for conservation subdivision waiver, so not every situation, we're only allowing it for conservation subdivision.
Yeah. And then. It might. I think he's
What
kind of,
section, because page number is. What section was that, page 60?
And,
Oh, you're in zoning. Okay, now I'm
oh,
talking
you're in
about
zoning.
subdivision.
Yeah, sorry, it's like the 2 pages after the conservation subdivision design photos.
Got it.
It's 2 pages after that. I-7,
Got it.
and that's the only mention of flag lots specific.
Yeah, so we're saying for conservation subdivision, the minimum street or private road frontage is 40 feet. Planning board may waive the specifications for conservation subdivision, so, the specifications though, just is dimensional. Specifications are how long the flag can be, what the road frontage can be.
Well, I think he needs that clarified if they're disagreeing about it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Whether
think
it
they're,
means
I don't
that-
think they're disagreeing in conservation subdivision. I think they're just disagreeing in general, and which is a zoning issue.
Well, he has it under subdivision.
No, I understand.
I think they've been working through a conservation subdivision.
Right, they are,
application, so-
yeah.
But we also completely changed the conservation subdivision
Mhm.
section. I know he has it under subdivision. I think he included it just as a,
Maybe you just
Because
want to
I-
add
yeah,
something
I-
in conservation that says dimensional.
why don't I ask him this specific question
Yeah.
in subdivision? Here's the only place we see it mentioned. What should we
Yeah,
add? to
get
fix it?
clarity if he's
Right.
meaning the spot here or.
I think he's talking in the general.
I think he's talking the general topic, he is talking about this section, but also
But he does.
in our proposal, in our code, no more than 1 flag lot shall be created from an existing parcel. So
Oh, so for the conservation subdivision.
he's
I
saying,
see what's happening.
is it only 1 or is it more than 1? Like, what
Right,
do
is
you
he
guys
saying a
want?
waiver includes?
Yeah.
Ability to put in more.
If you look at the email continue in that packet, there's questions between him and I don't know if it's David Gordon or what, but, so I reviewed so the whole concept of flag lots came in.
Right,
But this was a discussion within the planning board. But the definitions and everything there is about zoning.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that what happened was the discussion came out about flag lots in general, and then we asked him very soon after, please chime in on subdivision. He said, oh, well, we gotta talk about flag lots. Because everything 14010, all this is about.
Yeah, he does reference zoning further in his back and forth.
But the section, the quote of the code here is the existing code, not the rewrite of the flag lot section, so that's why we probably want to look at his zoning
Yeah.
comments, which he just sent recently,
okay,
so.
and we're not talking about that.
But
yeah.
I'll bring this specific question to him and say, how do we fix this? That's really in looking at this packet, I thought there was more, it's really just,
That's just.
Yeah,
it's all
really
about
the back
flag
and
lots.
forth.
Um,
The re-subdivision.
Yeah,
In this section of it, I understand now that we've read that, I understand it better what he's.
So the planning board's comments say any current non-conforming lot must be made into a conforming lot if adjusted in a lot line improvement unless both lots to be improved are non-conforming. So what I think that we kind of already do that, but we do say, oh, they're saying any current non-conforming lot. So what we're saying is if a non-conforming lot exists and it's doing a lot line adjustment, as long as it doesn't become less conforming, it can still be non-conforming as long as it's getting better. As long as in the current code and in the proposal, you can't take a conforming lot and do a lot line adjustment and create a non-conforming lot. But you don't have to bring a non-conforming lot up to conforming standards in a lot line adjustment, as long as you're not making it less conforming. And they're saying any non-conforming lot has to be conforming if it's adjusted in a lot line adjustment. I don't necessarily agree with that because sometimes you've got two non-conforming lots. You can take a little bit from this and make one of the lots conforming and the other one still is non-conforming, but the overall picture has been.
Let's talk to Adam about that two non-conforming.
Exactly. I was just thinking, this is exactly what I had.
What are they, I don't know what they're commenting. What are they even commenting? Are they just saying?
They're talking about the lot improvement section in the non-conforming section. Yeah, they didn't write comments, but I know what they are commenting on. Let me find the section for you. It's in the lot improvement section. There's a section in there about non-conforming lots. Just gotta find the lot improvement section. I think I live with this code so much, but I am out of practice. Here it is, 125.18. Lot improvements yeah, we didn't change anything in this. To qualify, they should involve the land of an existing parcel or lot line adjustment so as improve abilities of that parcel to comply with setback, increase suitability for building development, add to the availability of open space, adjust the boundary line location, or produce a correct deed for recording purposes, not reduce the ability of the lot from which the lot improvement parcel is taken or reconfigured to comply with the applicable development standards, and include a map restriction. So, so we're not saying it must be, if it's a non-conforming lot, it must be a conforming lot. We're just saying it has to improve the ability to comply with setback or other building standards. So what they're saying is if you're doing a lot line adjustment, or they're calling it a lot improvement, that if it's, they're projecting that we should add a section that says a non-conforming lot must be made conforming with a lot line adjustment. That's what they're saying. They're proposing an add. That's the way I read it anyway. They are saying unless both lots on the application are non-conforming, so. But.
They're saying.
Well, I get that. If you add on to a conforming lot and you're making a non-conforming, you're saying you shouldn't be allowed to make a non-conforming lot even less conforming.
Right, and
If
I think we say it without saying it, because what we say is, we say
Well, I just,
to
there are lots,
improve setbacks.
there's other, yes, but there's like lots of other, so you could have a non-conforming lot and a conforming lot, and you might want to do a lot line adjustment that wouldn't change any acreage whatsoever.
right, and then you're not making it more non-conforming.
Well, but also if you could be making an, I don't know, I'm just.
Well, I think the way we could word it is we just say, if a non-conforming lot is, we'll have to figure out the exact wording, but if a non-conforming lot is a part of a lot improvement, the resulting lot cannot be less conforming
Right.
than it is. And that's sort of saying what
And
they're
that way
saying.
they can do the
And it,
swap.
and it's kind of what we have already been doing,
Yeah.
but because in our practice, when we review them, but we can specifically put it in the code. And that's what I was saying. It kind of says it because in order to do it, you're trying, the goal is to improve setback, ability to comply with setbacks. And so the theory is that you're always making it better. We can just actively put in the code a section that says you can't make a non-conforming lot more non-conforming.
Right.
In a more.
Because I can see that, you wanna
Yeah.
give them some of your land, so the conforming lot meets a setback. But now we have a little teeny tiny lot to do that.
Looks, so. Okay, so are we okay? What I'll do is I'll just take notes and I'll add these things in and then we can discuss it, but yeah, before we do any, obviously. So I'm just gonna make a note on the lot improvement to say, add a section that a non-conforming can't be made no more non-conforming. We'll come up with the right words, but. 125.18, okay. So their next comment, lot lines owned by the same name, deed, or proof of exact ownership may be deemed a lot line improvement and adjusted for any reason granted they are conforming and will end up conforming with said improvement. If both lots are owned by the same owner, they may maintain non-conformance, but if they're owned by a different ownership, they must be made into conforming lots. What they're saying, if you have two adjacent lots owned by the same person,
And then what if they sell one?
yeah,
I was gonna say,
What if they can't?
yeah, I don't think that
I-
comment's
no.
about, I think we just- no, we're gonna say.
I don't know that many of these guys.
No, I realize, and I think many of these came from one particular planning board member, so.
Yeah, like recreation, art recreation, we only have that in conservation subdivisions.
No, we moved it.
No, we did,
We took it out.
it is in subdivision law. I mean, it's not, is it in subdivision law recreation?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're saying each new lot should be assessed a recreation fee, but that's
What do we
not a
have,
function
over
of the
four?
code, that's a function of our schedule. Our fee schedule.
Right, you do the fee schedule and I assume right now you have over, if there's
I
over
believe
4
we have
lots.
over.
Because if you only have 4 lots, you're not gonna have a big drain on our recreational.
And it's
assets.
also, well, we're in the moratorium, and so we haven't had a greater than 4 lot subdivision now, but I also found that the planning board was not putting fees
Doing them
on that.
anyway, yeah.
So I'm just gonna say we skip that comment. Conservation subdivision, please better define agricultural land, its current use, prior use, and soil type requirements. So we're talking all about conservation subdivision now. So 125.31. Where are we talking about agricultural?
Are they, I'm sorry, for the recreation fee, is there comment that we should just add in the recreation fee section that the fees shall be paid? I don't understand.
They're saying that anytime you make a new lot, they should, a recreation fee should be assessed. It's not a function of code, it's a function of our fee schedule.
Right,
Our fee schedule says when you go above 4 lots, recreation fee kicks in.
but who pay, how does the recreation fee get divvied up?
It's so much per lot.
It's by, right, you guys set it in your
We do it in
fee
our fee
schedule, you
schedule.
So
said,
so what they're suggesting is that we apply it to lots. It doesn't need to be stated in act.
it
we
wouldn't
will
be
just
there
put
if
it
you
in the
wanted
fee
to do
schedule.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
If you wanted every new lot to have a recreation fee, you'd put it in your.
So their
fee schedule.
comment has nothing to do with subdivision law, but they put it in there because in their opinion, every time a new lot is formed, there should be a recreation.
I actually think maybe it's just there's no context. I think they're just trying to say in the recreation fee section, we should say that it's the lots themselves
Where's the recreation fee section?
On the,
125.
Article 3,
125.
yeah, 125, 13.
I can find it.
F.
Got it.
It doesn't mention how, like, that it would be per lot. It just says the planning board shall,
But it's as set forth in the town's fee schedule,
Yeah.
so it's
And that
the
says per
fee
lot.
schedule.
yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, I don't think they were trying to say that every single.
No, I think they
Okay.
were.
I think they're trying to say in here that it should say something about the lot being what.
No, they're saying each new lot should be assessed a recreation fee. To me, that's pretty clear.
Okay.
Every new lot should get a fee is how I read that. Is that how you read it, Charlotte? Their comment? Oh, in a major
In a
subdivision,
major subdivision.
In a major
Yeah, I
subdivision.
was gonna say only in a major subdivision that each new lot.
but that's gonna happen
Yeah,
because
that's-
right
yeah,
now we say over 4 lots and we've defined major subdivision now as including.
Right, but the
Lot.
first 4 lots in that major subdivision on the
Oh.
fee schedule would not.
They don't have a need for.
So our fee schedule, though, when we do our fee schedule, we don't need to change the code, but when we do our fee schedule, if we were to follow this, we would say in a major subdivision, in the fee schedule, major subdivision, all lots are charged X number of dollars.
Right, if you wanted to do that.
If we want to do that. So we don't need to do anything to the code.
Okay.
We don't, we don't have, a lot is defined, each new lot of land that is,
Yeah.
that is a lot, so. Okay, now, better defined agricultural. I just, I think some of this came about too out of their confusion that was brought up by a couple board members under the existing conservation subdivision. And I think the notes got put in here, not necessarily about the proposal, but just that they were frustrated by the existing one. Because they talk a lot about these, yeah, and like all the notes on the bottom are not about subdivision, they're notes about something. They say, get rid of PUDs, that's not a function of subdivision. Limit multifamily to zoning districts where walkable or public transportation, that's zoning. Yeah, all those notes are all zoning, so we'll just consider them when we go to zoning. But I'm just trying to find within the conservation subdivision zoning code where we talk about agriculture.
That's we have both the requirements in the beginning. Where the county planning board also made this.
Okay,
Um,
you said you had the county comments? Yeah, well, because you know what, I probably have them in my email. I think I'll be on that.
so I think the planning board's comment is a little like, I don't think we need to. I think they're wanting us to like. Say more in the purposes, which I don't think we need to do, but then it says for C. Farmland within New York State certified Ulster County Agricultural District lands or soils classified as prime farmland as defined herein. I think they're just wondering what farmland within a New York State certified Ulster County Ag District means.
Yeah, well, they came back and said, we need to take out the Ulster County. We got that note in the zoning code one that we take out the word Ulster County, but I don't think we did it.
Yeah, and a New York State certified, but what they are nitpicking, what they are getting at, which I agree, it is a real agricultural lands, farmland, farmland within a New York State certified ag district. Lands or soils classified as prime farmland as defined here. So I think they're just one,
So in our definition section, do we have a definition of prime farmland?
we do, but the way this sentence is written, it sounds like it's saying farmland within the New York State district.
Mhm.
Or, but it doesn't say that, but like lands or soils classified as prime farm. So they're wondering what is farmland in the ag district versus prime.
Well, they should certainly know that from getting their ag district statements with their applications.
But I think what the county is asking us to do is to say prime farmland within
Yeah.
New York
Okay.
State certified ag.
I read
district.
that as two different, if it's within a ag district or if it meets the definition.
That's what we had.
Right,
But the county planning board is telling us to.
have only,
So they say
Ag
the
districts?
use of prime farmland is too overreaching. Focus on those areas with prime farmland that are in Ulster County Certified Agricultural District. So they're saying we should only, if it's in a state ag district,
yeah, no,
and it's prime farmland, we should make it be, but they're saying all prime farmland is too overreaching.
I don't know if I agree with that.
In other words, active farm operations on those soils that are prime farmland that require a higher degree of protection. So we took it as a step further in saying
Hey.
all farmland, whether
Yeah,
prime
we
farmland,
right.
whether it's in, now we did say prime farmland, 3 acres or more.
Right.
Right, you got, because someone had said, wait a second.
We don't want just a little tiny little piece and that whole parcel's got
And there's
Right.
actually a lot of land.
I mean, you want to encourage land being available for agriculture, right?
Yeah.
And we're not saying you can't develop it, we're just saying you have to do conservation subdivision, so you can still you can still get the density, but you're gonna cluster,
Right,
it's gonna be a
you're gonna-
win-win, you're gonna get the
You're gonna
density.
save the,
And it's, so if you could do 6 lots, you could do 5 smaller lots here with houses, as long as you conserve this percentage, so we win-win, we get houses,
Right.
and
Well,
we keep farmland.
and then I think what the town planning board is commenting on is the section in conservation subdivision C or B that says what they may require a conservation subdivision approach. It says, I think we're just missing some punctuation. Agricultural lands, farmland within a New York State certified ag district, comma, lands, comma, or soils classified as prime farmland. I think they're just asking
I
us,
just want the word or in there.
what is farmland in the ag district? Because the ag district does include land that is not farmland.
True.
So maybe
I
we
think
should,
that's all there.
I think what we should maybe do is take out the words agricultural lands, just say farmland within a New York State certified Ulster County Agricultural District, lands or soils classified as farmland as defined herein, or. So,
Or we say.
if we define prime farmland,
Or we say like actively utilized.
no, but that's what we're trying to, we don't really care if it's being farmed or not, if it's in prime farmland, we want to be.
No, but you're saying
I'm
within the ag district,
So
the county ag district.
this is like where they may require a conservation subdivision, and that's in the ag district. It does not have to be prime farmland. It could just be farmland. And they're asking us to say, how would the planning board know what that is? Because there are lands in our ag district that are not.
See, I read this differently. I say it's a farmland within a New York State certified Ulster County Agricultural District. So anything that is in an agricultural district,
So let's take out farmland.
no, just let me finish. That says lands or soils classified as prime farmland. So if it's prime farmland and it's not in an ag district, the comments are different classes. You might want to take out the land, so it might just should say farmland within the New York State Certified Ulster County Agricultural District, or any soils classified as prime farm. That's what I think the intent of this is. We take out the word lands because that doesn't make any sense. But what we're saying is, if you are in a state certified agricultural district, you must do conservation
Or
subdivision.
the planning board may require you.
Is that word may?
Yes.
So this is,
Oh, may.
what I'm trying to, I think I agree with you, Mike. I think what the planning board is saying is in this section, we're going a step further than we are requiring in this law that if you have 3 acres of contiguous prime farmland anywhere in town, you're gonna go through a conservation subdivision process.
Right.
What this
And
section is
where did we
saying-
say that?
In the very beginning
Okay.
of the law, like not in this section, but it's in the beginning of, after
So
the
we may not
definition.
even need that because
But-
we've already said it.
But this section is where the planning board may require a conservation.
Right.
So it's saying slopes, water resources. So this is just saying they might not require it. You might not have 3 acres.
No,
But
I get it.
it might be a farm parcel in the ag district that's not prime farmland, but it's farmland of statewide importance, or it's
Agreed.
actively being farmed. They're just asking us to give them,
Right. But the way I just proposed rewriting it, doesn't it do that?
just by taking out the word land.
Well, also taking out the agricultural land, so it's just gonna start with farmland. I mean, the agricultural lands is just the various headers. You know, it's water resources, agricultural lands. We could take out those headers in all 3, in all A, B, C, and D, because there's really no reason. It can start with slopes of 15% or greater. We don't need the word slopes twice. The first is just like a subheading, and there's no reason to put it in there. So if we take out the agricultural lands and we start with farmland within a New York State Certified Ulster County Agricultural District, so it's in an ag district, planning board may, or soils classified as prime farmland as defined herein. And we defined prime farmland in the definitions. Soils maps are defined as or designated by the New York State Department of Agriculture as prime farmland soils, so. But I don't know what the word lands really does, because prime farmland is based on soil.
But do we have a definition for farmland? That's what I'm
Okay,
I'm sorry, that's what I'm pointing at.
so
We
let's
don't-
take out the word farmland and change it to land within the New York State Certified Agricultural District. So if you're in an ag district, what this is trying to say is farmland, and the entire ag district is farmland, in theory. Because it's a may, so we don't need the word farmland. We just say if you're in an ag district, they may do it.
Because it may be geese, it may not be plantings.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I'm okay with it. I don't know if everyone else is.
Anybody else?
Yeah, following along. So it just starts land within a New York State Certified Ulster County Agriculture District or soils classified as prime farmland as defined here.
I think we could still use the agricultural lands, the headers. Now, if we get rid of the word farmland and we say land or lots, no, it should be land because
It can be a partial
it
lot
could be,
or
yeah.
2 lots.
So land within the New York State Certified Agricultural District, we get rid of the word lands. We say, or should I number these like a 1 and a, after the C, do a, a
Yes.
1 and a 2?
Yes. Mhm.
These are 2 different
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah, and then you have the or the 3 or whatever.
That make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that clarifies. it.
Yeah, I do too.
If it's in prime farmland or if it's in the ag district, they may.
They may, yeah.
Okay, so that one is done. who manages the CS, it needs to be better defined and managed, or who, what, who can, cannot. I know this is because of the whole,
They don't, I heard their discussion
Yeah,
of,
they
they,
don't-
they don't want the home owners.
and we took it out.
association. No, we didn't.
We didn't? Okay,
We left it in.
I agree, we should take it out. Where is that one?
That is, I checked, because they were like, did they fix this? And I looked and I'm like, no. It's like the third option.
In,
Permanent protection of space.
Wait, why do we wanna take out the HOA option?
because
They don't have the expertise.
they, yeah, exactly. HOAs are a group of all the residents.
I know, there's one
Yeah.
in town, we have an HOA in town. For Hickory.
We have more
Okay.
than one.
But we have more than one, but that's why I'm
But-
questioning why we're not
But-
allowing them.
But for a conservation,
Second to the
use,
last
It's
page.
for conservation.
conservation,
We're
use,
not taking them out of, okay,
no, it's gotta be held by,
I get that, that
A
it's
land
just the
trust
open space, it's
agency.
just like a
Second to the last.
Right.
thank you. So we take out the HOA and just say it's either a land trust or it's a town.
Gotcha, sorry, I thought you were meaning, they were meaning for the, or like not allowing them.
No, we
Out.
want
Like,
HOA.
like, we're just having them,
No.
keep them.
We don't want them
In charge of it.
conservation.
Yep,
They can be in charge of the roads and the maintenance and all that,
gotcha.
as they should be.
And whether or not
Probably
we
have
have
to leave by nine, so you guys.
Okay. Why don't we go
Oh.
5 more minutes then and stop so we can do the other before Charlotte leaves?
Yeah.
Okay?
Got 152 families to spread
I get it.
Christmas joy
It's a
through
lot
in the
of-
morning
There's a lot of
in 3 hours.
pork loins going in.
No, it's shoulders and butts,
Um,
but yeah.
So the ownership,
Oh,
it's, where does it say about the HOA? Oh, homeowners association. Okay, you know what, we're gonna have to, it's a bigger discussion, so it's a whole section, so we're
Yeah.
just gonna, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I
put
was gonna
those-
suggest maybe we pause
Let's
where
pause
we're
here.
at, and then we
Let's
can
pause
take like
here.
a much deeper dive
Yep.
at another time.
We,
Sorry, if I didn't
No,
have
no,
so
no.
much to do tomorrow, I would totally
I'll make
stick it
the
out, but-
changes that we discussed and just email it to everybody so you see them, and then we'll. go.
But like, I think it's good to at least get
Start.
into it before the 28th, because
Understood.
It's a lot.
the bills.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
And now we can think about homeowners associations holding conservation easements.
we don't. Okay, so make a motion to, I'll make the motion, enter into executive session at 8:40 PM for the purposes of pending litigation, discussion pending litigation and matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion of board persons. Second,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. Mary Lou, I probably want you for the litigation, well, you're gonna stay.
Hanging out for the attorneys.